So Dana Altman had a heck of an end to this season, silenced any doubters, critics, haters, whatever you want to call them, about whether he should be Oregon's men's basketball coach. Wins the Pac-12 tournament, gets the NCAA tournament, wins a game, should have been in the Sweet 16. A couple of missteps here and there, bummer, but guess what? It was exciting, it was thrilling. And I think more than anything, at least for the fans, for a lot of fans out there of this Oregon basketball program, I think that getting to the tournament when it looked like it was going to be a third straight year of the NIT has just injected life and energy, hope and optimism into Oregon basketball again. Because you've got a young core of guys, and as I'm recording this show, KJ Evans, who was reportedly, according to James Crepea of the Oregonian, undecided about his future. I don't think he's going to leave. I think that's just, a comment that he gave. I don't expect him to enter the portal. I'd be bummed if he did. I think it'd be a mistake for him personally if he did. And I think that if he returns to the Ducks, he's poised for a huge, huge year next season alongside potentially and hopefully Nate Biddle in the front court. And we know that Jackson Shelstad is back in the backcourt. So you've got a young core of players. Plus, Mookie Cook didn't even get the chance to have a freshman season, unfortunately, because of injury. But he, along with Evans and Shelstad, were all highly touted recruits in the 2023 cycle. And, Shelstad put his full potential on display. That guy is already a stud. He's only going to get better. Needs to get a little stronger, perhaps. But Evans, same sort of thing. Could bulk up a hair, but I thought he bulked up over the course of the season. His defense is great, and his offense just needs a little bit of refinement. So I think that the young core is there, but it just felt like a breath of rejuvenation into a program that had, for the last couple of years, certainly had some injuries, but I felt like the previous two seasons under Dana Altman were underachieving more than this year's team when it looked like they might not make the NCAA tournament. So once it got down to Pac-12 tournament or bust to make the big dance, which of course they did, I think that coaching job was more impressive from Dana Altman given the volume of injuries, which increased compared to the previous years, than what you'd seen in the last two NIT appearances from the Ducks. So I think that the ability to go on the run, it was so exciting. It was so fun. I think a lot of people saw the heart that Jermaine Cousinard played with, having his family there, and the just relentless passion and raw emotion that N'Faly Dante put on display, and the maximum effort that guy showed every single game. I think those two guys, in those couple of weeks, they had career performances in various games. Cousinard against South Carolina, Dante in the Pac-12 title game against Colorado, and then both were sensational again in the round of 32 matchup with Creighton, who, given the history of the tournament with Oregon being in this spot, are now going to go win the national championship. So congrats to the Creighton Blue Jays. But I think that for the Ducks, it was such a fun thing to watch. It was exciting. It was exciting, it was fun, it was heartfelt, it was passionate, and it was, hey, let's just go make the most of it. Let's just go and show and remind everybody that Oregon basketball is still here, that Dana Altman's still here, that this program can be one of the best in the country. And I think that's perhaps the biggest takeaway, the most important aspect of what they did, that reminded everyone, yeah, this Dana Altman guy is still a really good coach. And that puts the league on, not the league, I mean, sure, the league, the Big Ten, but it puts the country on notice and kind of reminds them, yeah, this is someone who you want to go play for. So a bunch of players across the country from low and mid-major schools and high major schools are in the transfer portal. A lot of talented guys, lots of options. And I'm more than a little curious to see who Dana Altman is able to add, because this is an Oregon team that is losing the guys who they were especially riding down the stretch to get to the NCAA tournament, win a game, and almost get to the Sweet 16. Jermaine Cousinard and N'Faly Dante, they're done. They're out of eligibility. So now you go back to the drawing board on, okay, what guys are you bringing in? Well, Oregon hasn't recruited in the 2024 cycle the same way that they did in the 2023 cycle. And I think that's because they expect two things. Number one, that all three of the talented freshmen will return: Mookie Cook, KJ Evans, Jackson Shellstad. And number two, that they are going to be able to pull in players from the transfer portal that come in and make an impact. And, Dante was a high school recruit. Cousinard was a transfer. And, I've answered questions on this show before about, well, should Altman really keep going after the 5 stars? They aren't really working out. Bull and Troy Brown didn't do a lot, and there were some others. And I understood that argument, but I just think that the rating system's a little bit different. In college basketball, the numbers sometimes can get a little inflated. The stars can get inflated, particularly for big guys. Like Francis Okoro and Frank Kepnong were both 5-star recruits. Good players, but not anywhere near the overall talent of N'Faly Dante, who's a 5-star recruit, or Nate Biddle, who was a 5-star recruit, or Shellstad, or Evans, right? Like I just don't think that 24/7 is quite as accurate all the time with their star ratings for basketball players compared to football. But I think that if you keep those 3 freshmen and they're a part of the rotation, you get a couple more returners like, a Bam Tracy or a Brennan Rigsby. If Keyshawn Bartholomew is able to come back and be healthy, if Nate Biddle is probably the most important guy outside of KJ Evans that Oregon needs to come back healthy next year, or else you really have a need in the front court, because Evans can play a smaller 5, but is really best as a 4, and then you can play a big lineup. And man, when Evans and Dante were both on the floor at the end of the year, that Oregon team was just dangerous defensively, just absolutely dangerous. And what I mean by that is their length, shot blocking, and just defensive prowess was so good. And that's when Dana's teams have been at their best. The Final Four team had, both Jordan Bell and Chris Boucher until Boucher got hurt in the tournament, and they were able to get the most out of Jordan Bell, and they were able to get the most out of guys like Dylan Ennis to, help make that run. And, Cavell Bigby Williams was a big man that gave him some solid minutes and such. But I think that team has a real chance to win the national championship if Chris Boucher stays healthy, because Dana just coaches the bigs defensively so well. It is so well ingrained into how to play in that system, and Oregon's just always a great shot blocking team. So if you have Evans and Biddle next year on the floor at the same time, good luck driving into the paint. I wish you good luck, because that's what everyone was facing this year. Dante was in everybody's head, and Evans was a really good defender, and he's only going to get better. So I think this year has just been great to inject life back into the program. I think the fan support that Oregon got at Matthew Knight Arena this year was really, really good. And I expect it to continue to improve as, the team continues to win and such. So I'm just looking forward to next year in a big way. I'm always looking forward to next year, because I miss when Oregon sports aren't on. Baseball and softball are on right now. Baseball starts a 4-game series with Seattle today, that being Wednesday, depending on when you're listening to or watching this show. But yeah, I am bullishly optimistic about Dana Altman's Oregon basketball program right now. Appreciate everyone listening. I'll see you next time. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and go Ducks.